Welcome back to Quick Hits. I'm your host, Anna Witte. On today's episode, we have a Charleston Southern strength and conditioning coach. He works with the men's and women's basketball team, as well as the golf team, the tennis team, and the volleyball team. So you have got your hands full, but welcome to the show. I know it's been a crazy week for you guys over there, but how is everything going?
Everything is great. Appreciate you having me on the show. Everything is great. All the sports are thriving. Everybody's glad to be back on campus and able to get their season started. And the teams that are already in season. Getting after it every day, competing, trying to get better, trying to be better than they were yesterday, and that's our main focus. Just trying to make sure that everybody is upbeat in this trying time, but it's having fun, but also know what is ahead and how to focus and still be safe. That's our main goal.
So one thing I left out is you are a former student athlete yourself. You played football at IU. You spent some time in the NFL, but originally you're from Arkansas, correct?
Yes,
And you went to
I
high
am from
school
Little
in
Rock, Arkansas.
Ohio.
Yes, for my senior year, I moved to Cincinnati, Ohio. Went to Dakota West, and it was a game changer for me. It was just more exposure than the school that I went to in Arkansas. Um, when I first got there, my first two games were on national TV, and I had never played on national TV before until I got there. So the different type of exposure was great. It opened my eyes to a lot.
Very cool. So what was your recruiting process like in high school going to IU? Why'd you choose IU?
Well, IU kind of chose me. Coming out of high school, I was originally going to Ole Miss, and then the head coach, they parted ways with the university, and I had to go junior college. And when I went junior college, the school didn't keep me on scholarship at Ole Miss, so I then signed with North Carolina, the Tar Heels, and then their coach and the university parted ways. And after I signed with them, Indiana had came in trying to, find a running back, but I was already signed. And I had to take a slice of humble pie and reach out to them and ask were they still looking for a running back. And the coach was like, yes, we are. We got, they got me on an official visit and the rest was history. I'm glad it worked out that way because I met some great people, set some great records, um, had great communication with my teammates, had fun with my teammates, built great relationships on and off the field with those guys. And, they helped me be better. And I hope that I helped them be better in some shape, form, or fashion.
So after clearly the NFL was your dream after college, but what did you study at IU while you were playing football there?
I studied rec sport communications, management. I'm sorry, and my 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 mentor slash godfather um, was a director of a boys club when I was growing up, and he made it look so fun. We always had something to do, field trips, games. He always made that area enjoyable at the Boys and Girls Club, and everybody from the whole city of Little Rock wanted to go to this one particular boys club, and that was a goal of mine to own a Boys and Girls Club, to run a Girls and Boys Club, to bring camaraderie back to the community the way that he did, to bring the community together, to give back to the community as far as little girls and boys being able to learn how to swim, learn how to, properly play basketball, host games, host anything that can help bring our community together. And that was a big deal to me. And so I studied rec sport management because that was a stepping stone to help me get to being the director of a Boys and Girls Club. I just went differently once I, really started honing in on sports and
Mhm.
had a little time in the league, and I fell in love with strength and conditioning. And so, I'm kind of still in that same field, bringing camaraderie to the young men and young women here at the university. Um, I'm just doing it on a different level. I still feel that it still falls under the same category. And that's what I studied in college, just because of what, he did for me as a child and what he did for the community growing up.
That's really cool. Did you get involved in the community in Indiana while you were playing there on top of your major?
Oh yes, of course. I will go out to the community and help as much as I could. It didn't matter what it was. Sometimes the football team, we would do food drives, or we would do um, Christmas gifts or anything like that. I was real big on doing whatever I could do. It was a boys and girls club called Banneker, and one of my good friends was actually the director there. And we would go up there all the time, just go up there and um play football, give tickets to some of the kids who wanted to play football, go up there and play basketball, just be around. And we would help them with homework, talk to them about right from wrong, just little things that you don't think is a lot, but when you look back when you get older, you be like, that really helped me. And so I was always big on giving back to the community, because the community was all I had when I was growing up. And so I just wanted to be that light, so somebody could look back and say, hey, Stephen helped me in this shape, form, or fashion. Let me pay it forward and help this little young man or this little young woman in the same way.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have any like cool memories from when you were involved in the community that you still really cherish?
Um, I have one, and it wasn't so much when I was in college. It was when I was literally, I wasn't at IU, I was in junior college. And when I was playing, you had Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I would wear the pink, and I would donate to a charity. And it was a big deal for me, and I would try to put it in the paper, and I would go around town and be like, hey, every touchdown I get, I'm putting this into breast cancer awareness. Would you like to match me? you know um at the time it wasn't a lot, like, hey, $5, I might wind up putting $20 in. And then the older I got, and the more money that I was able to accumulate by saving and this, that, and the third, I would put into the breast cancer awareness foundation of my choice. And that was a big thing for me, because I would just go out by word of mouth. Hey, I'm Stephen Houston. I play here. I do this. And it's coming up on Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I would hit them with information. Some people would listen, some people wouldn't, but it's just the fact that I'm out here doing it and trying to make people aware of something that is real and is taking over, especially in our African American community. And that's who I was trying to really target. And but that was my fondest memory every year, is just trying to, give back in that regard.
Now, why breast cancer awareness? Did that hit you personally?
It never just hit me personally as
Mhm.
far as like within my family,
Mhm.
but I did have a lot of friends and extended family members that may not have been blood, that it affected them. So it affected me in that way, people that I was close to.
Right.
I've lost people to breast cancer. And so I just want to make people aware, not saying that the world isn't, but there's always so much more that we can learn. And that was my biggest, goal every time that I would go out, because every year the numbers change. And I just wanted to make people aware of it, because they may be able to help somebody, down the road. They may be able to help a friend. Hey, here's the information that I got from such and such, or this, that, and the third. And that was my biggest goal. But it affected me, because it affected friends and extended family. and I always wanted to be the person that could help save a life.
Right. That's a really cool idea. Now, did you do this from junior college all the way through your NFL career every
Yes, I
season?
did.
Okay.
Yes. I did it all the way up until I was done playing. And even when it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, now, I still try to find ways, to get involved. I still try to find ways to help and to provide information to the best of my ability, to try to, you know, bring light to, a topic that some people may shy away from.
Mhm.
And I still continue to do it till this day.
Very cool. Well, I'm curious, what was your transition like out of college into the NFL? What was some of the training that you were doing in between the off season to get yourself ready for the next level?
Uh, the transition was the transition itself wasn't tough because football is football.
Mhm.
Um, you know, being way more disciplined than I was in college was key. Taking care of my body even more, finding new ways to take care of my body because now this is all that I do. I didn't have to worry about practice and class. You have so much more free time,
Mhm.
and you try to maximize every amount of free time that you have. And that was a big key for me. In my off season, I would go back to my alma mater and work with my strength coach because he knew me. He knew what I needed. He knew how to push my buttons. He knew how to get me to where I wanted to be. And I never had a second thought in my mind of going to somewhere else, in Florida, California to train because he knew me and we always got great work, done. So if it wasn't, if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it,
Mhm.
and I would go back to what got me to where I was, and he helped me prolong my career for as long as I could. And, just being attention to detail. Um, just little things in the league can set you apart from being an average player to being a Hall of Famer. And, I had to learn that and, just be yourself. People respect you for being yourself. Don't try to be somebody that you're not. Don't try to be too big for your britches. Be humble, be willing to accept criticism, be willing to learn, be willing to adapt. And you have to be 100% in all of the time. And that was the biggest transition was the discipline and paying attention to detail on a level that can't even really be explained. You have to experience it.
Right. And the first team that you went to play for was the Patriots.
Yes.
What was that experience like when you first walked into the facility? Were you nervous? Were you excited? Yeah, how were you feeling about, the first NFL team you were a part of?
All the emotions, every last one. I went through every emotion that you could think of. I was nervous, I was scared, I was happy, I was frightened. Um, because it's not so much about playing the game of football. Once I got on the field, I was okay. Moving around, it comes natural. But everything in preparation for me to get to the field, was where my mind would go racing. I'm playing with Tom Brady. I'm playing with Julian Edelman. I'm playing with Gronk.
Hmm.
Guys that I watched Tom Brady when in college, and I'm playing with them. I went to a school that played against his school in college, and now we're teammates. And he's a champion, and I was starstruck,
Hmm.
But after you get and sit with these guys, you notice and you get comfortable knowing that they're just regular human beings, like we are.
Yeah,
They go grocery shopping
right.
regularly. They just, they're put on this pedestal because of the sport that they play. And you have to be able to handle that. And it was a wonderful experience. Walking in there the first day, I'm playing for the Patriots, you know. Um, shaking hands with Tom Brady. And one of my good friends played on the team. So that made it a little bit easier because when I got in there, he met me and we talked. And, he kind of put my heart at ease a little bit, put my mind at ease. But, it's still nervousness and things like that. So um, it was a fun time. It was a fun experience. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask about playing with Tom Brady. What was that like? And did you get to know him, sit down with him personally and chat? And, what are some things that maybe you learned from him?
We talked a few times, when I was on the team with him. He's a cool guy. He's not, what people may try to perceive him to be. He's a wonderful guy. He's a wonderful character. He's about winning when he walks in the building. When he walks in the building, he's focused. He still takes notes the same way he did as a rookie, the same way he does now.
Mhm.
Um, he hasn't changed. His routine is a winning routine. When he comes into the meeting room, he sits down, open his notebook to a blank piece of paper because he wants to get a fresh start. Um, he when we're on the field, he's real precise. He's like, hey, I want you at 4 yards, not at three, not at five. If you're at three, I'm not throwing it. If you're at five, I'm not throwing it because I want you to be there because I know what the defense is going to do. He taught me how to be very detail oriented, and it's carried with me until this day, being real consistent in my preparation for the guys and the girls, being consistent in my preparation for myself.
Mhm.
Um, he gave me, guidance on how to maneuver through the league. Do your job. Whatever your job is for that day, do it to the best of your ability and give 100% effort. And if you're doing your job, everybody else would do theirs, and everybody else is in sync. And that's what I learned from him. And it was wonderful playing with him. Not too many people say I played with Tom Brady. I was on the team with Tom Brady.
Right. And not many people can say they learned much from Tom Brady or got to have these types of conversations with him. The second team you went to was the Ravens. And then I also read while you were there, you were also working with the IU men's basketball team. So why were you doing both?
So I went to the Steelers first after the Patriots. Spent a little time there, but um, I went back to my alma mater, and I was, this is when I started to hone my skills in strength and conditioning. And my mentor, Coach Mark Hill, was grooming me in the right direction. He would let me, run some groups and, help me be a better coach, help me to talk the lingo, how to get through to the young men and the young women.
Mhm.
And one of his assistants went over to be the strength condition coach of men's basketball. And me and him were cool. And he was like, hey, I would like for you to start coming over here, um, so you can learn from a different aspect. Because at that point, I was just learning football.
Mhm.
And, I like to learn as much as I can. I like to be like a sponge. So I started going over there and helping with men's basketball. And then, they asked me to be on staff. And once they put me on staff, it just started rolling. I had never put two and two together that Coach Crean at the time, the head, men's basketball coach, was married to the Harbaugh sister. And it never crossed my mind. And they came to one of the games and, you know, we talked, um, and I just put myself out there. Hey, I'm a free agent. If you ever need a running back, I'm ready to go.
Mhm.
And Coach Crean, he had my back. He essentially helped me get back in the league. So I have to give 100% of the trust and the gratitude to Coach Crean because, you know, of a turn of events for the Ravens, they lost 2 running backs. And because I stuck my hand out there and Coach Crean was really vouching for me, like give him a chance, it went that way. And I have to tip my hat to him. And once I got there, the rest was on me. And I just laid it all out there on the line, and it was the best 2 years spent. I met my wife in Baltimore. I met some great teammates. I made more friendships on the Ravens than I did with all the other teams combined. Um, and it was just because it was a different vibe. It was a winning vibe, but it was just a different vibe. It was more people on the team that I could relate to. And I still talk to at least 7 of the guys till this day. And we still try to get together when we can. We still hang out, still relax, and talk about the old days. But we also talk about building a future for our children and building a future for our children's children. So those type of conversations is what keep us going, because we still competing with one another, in elevating each other, while we're competing out here in the real world with the next person who we come in competition with. And that's what keeps us going. That's what motivates us.
So I think we have to rewind then, because when did things click for you to want to get into the strength and conditioning world? Did Coach Hill kind of plant that seed in your head?
Yes, and it wasn't on purpose. It was more of my senior year in college. I already started to see my body change, and I was intrigued of how my body was transforming. And every time we was doing lift coach, what is this working? This is working, your shoulders. This is working your obliques. This is working your VMO. This is working your calves. Different things. And I'm like, okay, it's starting to intrigue me. And I was like, hey, coach, once I'm done playing or in between, off season, I would like to come back and train, but also like help and learn, and once I started coming back in my off season and training, I would train first, then I would help him with the rest of his groups. And I was learning, and it was really fascinating me about the human body. And that's just where it went from. And I've been sticking with it ever since. Till this day, I call and bounce ideas off of him. Coach, what do you think about this for the basketball team, for the volleyball team, for the tennis team, and he's never not said, don't call me. He's always given me guidance, and that's why, I love him for it, because he was able to instill something in me that has really pushed me over the edge in this strength and conditioning world, to where I'm always trying to come up with something new as far as for my athletes. And it's all my wheels are always spinning. When I'm watching the guys and the girls compete, I'm looking at the game in joy, but I'm also looking at the game with work, from a work perspective. Like, okay, it was times where, one of our players was running up and down the court. He's favoring one side. And I try to go back, okay, how can I help him be mechanically structured and sound? And that's kind of where it started from, going into my senior year, starting to see my body transform and being intrigued and wanting to know why this exercise is making this happen to my body.
Right. And now you work with, like we said earlier, football, men's and women's basketball, tennis, golf, volleyball. Those are all very different sports. When you train these athletes, do you kind of have the same overarching goal for them, or, how do you prepare for each team individually?
So, the basis, you always have your meat and potatoes, which every sport would do, but is little things that I change for each sports, different agility drills, different body parts that they use the most that needs the most attention. Um, and I try to make it unique to each sport. I don't want each sport doing the exact same thing
Mhm.
because they don't do the exact same thing. That it's all, agility in some shape, form, or fashion, all mobility in some shape, form, or fashion. But every sport is unique and is different at the same time. And I try to find what's different about each sport and hone in on the different techniques that I can use for each person of this different sport to make them better. Um, and then sometimes I might try to switch it up as far as um, take something from one sport and try to see if I can adapt it to another sport. See if the fluidity of one sport can help the fluidity in another sport and vice versa. So I'm always trying to be creative and make it fun for the guys and and for the girls, um, and and keep them intrigued and in tuned. And maybe some of them might want to be strength coaches one day,
Mhm.
and I can be for them how Coach Mark Hill was for me, is for me.
Yeah, strength coaches are like the unsung sung heroes of every team. With my experience, I loved my strength coach, not just for, how he got me in the best shape of my life, but also how he motivated me and made coming into the weight room or going out to the soccer field like so fun every single time. So also, we're in the middle of men's and women's basketball season. We're seeing these pauses because of COVID. It's just a really weird year. So, just yesterday, our men's program had to not play in their next two games because the other team had some positive tests. Does that affect your programming at all and how you get your team staying fit during their season?
Um, yeah, it affects us all. But we try to make a schedule, as far out in advance. That way, we can coordinate with the other teams so we can get in here as much as possible.
Mhm.
It's a different type of situation, with the scheduling, and we just have to adapt. Some days we may be able to get in here multiple times. Some days we may have to be in here once. But when they come in, they attack it. I make it fun. I crank the music up. I explain why this is going to help us win these games.
Mhm.
And and then, we just go out there and we do our workout, but we do it with poise, with composure, with attitude, with grit, with determination. Because sometimes we have the next time that we come in, but also that may be taken away because of COVID. So we have to treat every time that we play or every time that we work out or we practice as it could be our last for a couple weeks. So we have to cherish each moment. And that's the big thing, we have to cherish it. So, with the game being taken away, the guys were devastated, the guys were upset. But we always put a positive spin on a negative
Situation.
situation.
Yeah, exactly. And then one thing I noticed too is IU is pumping out these fantastic strength coaches. The strength coaches at Alabama who just won a national championship, I mean, went undefeated, are clearly in an elite program, and they always have an elite strength and conditioning program there. Have two former IU people in their system. So what is IU doing to make such great coaches?
I like once again, it started with Coach Mark Hill. Um, it's about how can you get these players to buy into the system?
Mhm.
How can you get these players to want to get better? How do you get these players to be great? Even when they don't want to come in and they come in, how do you get them to give their all? And I think that's the key. And when you get everybody that buys into the program, that goes from the head strength and conditioning coach down to the intern. When everybody's bought into the program from the staff standpoint, it's so much easier to get the players to buy in. When everybody is on one accord, it's so much easier for the players to buy in, and then you can do a lot of things. I know when I was there, everybody bought in, and it's just been carrying. We started the foundation. Coach Hill laid a wonderful foundation, and everybody has just built off of it. And now we're starting to reap the benefits of a solid foundation. We built our foundation on rock instead of building it on sand,
Mm-hmm.
And so once it rains, we're okay because we're built on a solid foundation of Coach Mark Hill. And everybody else that comes after, you know, is adding on to it. And we're building a wonderful plateau. Everybody that comes in is putting something, their own spin to Indiana football that will be engraved into this building that we're building, to say, hey, we have an elite list of strength coaches like these other programs. And that's the main thing. You come to IU, we're a wonderful program, and you leave IU better than you walked in. And that's from a player standpoint and from a coaching standpoint. You come in one way as a coach, and when you leave, you're 10 times better than when you started. And I think that's why, you're starting to see these coaches have IU on their resume,
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big part of it, because you see the production on the field, you see the production on the basketball court, volleyball court, wherever. You see these strength coaches giving their all to these athletes, and the athletes are giving their all back. It's being reciprocated. And that's a wonderful thing. And when they leave to go somewhere else, they have the tools to bring what they learned and what they've coached to another program, and they're already ready to go and to get this program. Oh, you came from IU, y'all did this, y'all did that. I know that you're about to put me on a level where I need to be. And that's a great thing. Kudos to Coach Ballou, is much deserving, especially when you go with that type of caliber athlete, that
Right.
they have down there at Alabama.
Right. It's a great mix. It's a perfect mix for
Mm-hmm.
a national championship and an undefeated season. But how much,
Mm-hmm.
it sounds like, you need people to buy in, right? So your personality has to be, you can't be an introvert. You can know all the information that you need to know to make someone the best athlete, peak performer ever. But how equal do the two need to be knowledgeable, but also have, a specific, maybe not even specific personality, but a personality that can encourage other people to be their best?
Oh, it has to be a even mix. It has to be a even mix because um, me personally, I am a guy that goes by trial and error. I'm not gonna tell somebody to do something that I haven't done or I haven't did. And that's the main thing. I love to demonstrate. Coach Hill would demonstrate for us when I was in college. And that's what I do for my athletes. I demonstrate what I want, and I'm precise and I'm matter of fact. And they see, okay, coach is doing it, then I know that I can do it. I am a visual learner. That's how I was. I had to see it, So I go by, I explain it, and then I double back, and this is what I mean. This is the action that I'm looking for. This is the mechanic that I'm looking for. This is why when you pick your hip up and you drive your knee into the ground, you drive your foot into the ground, the contact time between picking it up and putting down is going to do this for you in the long run. And that's what I mean by it has to be even. You have to be able to explain the knowledge to everybody that has to understand it in some shape, form, or fashion. One person may um, understand it visually. The other person may only understand it, you know, just by me saying it, because they can put it together.
Mhm.
Somebody needs both. Somebody also needs all three, where I have to physically walk them through it and we get on a rhythm count of what I want. And that's okay, because once you get that rhythm and you understand, the rest is history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
So,
you work with so many different people too, personalities. From it varies from sport to sport, but I feel like every sport has a different personality, if that makes sense. So you have to be
oh
able
yeah,
to work with
definitely.
so many different people.
Yes, yes. You have to be able to reach every demographic. You may have a person on a team that's an introvert that doesn't like to talk, but you have to find a way to get to that person. You
Mhm.
have a person on the team that loves to talk. You got to find a way to get to that person. Then you have somebody with a happy medium. You have a person, that doesn't have any facial expression, but isn't in a bad mood. But you have to, be able to communicate with that person. And it's different languages that you have to use with these athletes, as far as, you know, um, some people you have to explain in further detail. You have to put detail on the detail. And then some athletes you can explain it once and they get it, and it's a lot of, patience, because nobody's going to get it 9 times out of 10 on the first try.
Right.
So you have to be able to groom them to be able to understand, like, this is how it needs to be done. So when we come back to it the next time, you'll be able to do it on the first try.
Right. And so you came to Charleston Southern just this past spring. So this is your first year here in Charleston. Why was CSU your next career move?
Well, me and Brandon, we've been knowing each other for about 6 or 7 years.
Mhm.
Um, he's the head strength and conditioning coach of CSU football. And when I was playing professionally, he was working at IU.
Okay.
He was working as a strength and conditioning coach at IU, and we formed a relationship. It was like, at that time we was just talking. We was like, it would be cool if we could work together.
Mhm.
And we really wasn't thinking anything of it. And I saw that he got, the position here, and I congratulated him. And I was like, man, it'll be tight, if, by some God's grace, I'll be able to come work with you. And that was literally in maybe like September, October, or maybe a little bit later,
Okay.
maybe like December, somewhere in that time frame. And he called me in January and was like, "Hey, I got a position open. Would you be interested?" I was like, "Man, I'm interested."
Mhm.
He told me the sports. It didn't matter what sports I was doing anyway. I was like, you know, you build a relationship that you don't care what sports you working with. I like who I'm working with. I love my coworkers. We feed off each other's energy. We bring it every day, and it makes what you would call work not work. This is a career for us, and we enjoy coming in every morning. We enjoy the grind. We enjoy it, and so that's how I got here. I reached out just to say congratulations, and we remembered the times that we had when he was at IU, and we spoke it into existence, not even knowing that we spoke it. And that's the power of the tongue. And he was asking, was I interested, and I jumped on it ASAP. I think before he finished the sentence, I jumped on it.
Yeah. What do you think of Charleston as, a city?
I like it. It reminds me of being back home in the South. I love the South. I was raised in Arkansas. Um, I just love being back in that environment. It's a fun people. That Southern hospitality is, you can't beat it. And my wife loves it because it's right on the water. So she loves the beach. So it's a win-win for me.
And there's more sunshine here than there is up north.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
a lot more, a lot more,
What is the
a
most
lot more.
rewarding part of your job?
Um, seeing the athletes reach their goals and go past their potential. I sit down with all the athletes that I coach and ask them individually, what is your goal for the year? Let's map out a plan for your goals. When we reach one, it don't matter in which order. When we reach one, we go to the next one. And that's that's what makes me the happiest about my job. That's the most satisfying. And when, hey, I want to get to 300 pounds on a certain exercise, a certain lift. Okay, well, let's get past that. Why settle at 300? And then they see themselves hitting 315, 325, and whatever the exercise is. And they're like, I shorted myself, but that's why we reach past your potential. The potential could be 300 pounds, but if you reach past it, you're definitely going to reach the potential. And that's the most satisfying, seeing the benefits of them getting better, and then it translating into their sport. That's the most satisfying, seeing that their hard work, their dedication paid off, so they can reap the benefits of what they put in from the summertime, from the springtime into their season.
You've been in this industry for 4 to 5 years. You're at the beginning of your career for sure. So, what are your personal goals for this career for you?
Um, to be the best that I can be, to always leave my mark in a positive way, and to be a head strength coach on the highest level. And when I say the highest level, it's whatever God has planned for me. So if he thinks my highest level is professionally, okay. If he thinks my highest level is college, okay. If he thinks my highest level, if I had to step down and go high school, okay. I want to leave a mark of positivity and progression wherever I go. So wherever you look and you look me up, I was at this school. Nobody can say anything bad. Everybody had positive things to say about me. I brought positive energy. We had positive gains. Everybody went past their potential. We were winning. Um, and I left a mark on these young athletes' lives that will help them outside of sports when they become adults themselves, and so they can become outstanding men and women in in society and in the real world. Um, that's what I want out of my career. I know all the accolades will come because of my grind and my drive. So that's what I want out of my career.
Very cool. Yeah, your guys' impact as strength and conditioning coaches, in my opinion, are just as big as their head coaches of whatever sport they're playing. Like the impact you leave on their lives will 100% be with them for the rest of your lives. So that's an awesome goal. Well, the last thing I wanted to chat with you about is your wife. You and your wife are expecting a new baby next month. You're a first time dad. So how are you feeling about being a dad starting in 2021?
I'm excited. It's a blessing. Dream come true. Um, me and my wife, uh, we are excited. We're happy. We can't wait to meet him. Just to see him and hold him, and just to build that experience and have wonderful memories. And to just be a wonderful father, just to do things that I did as a kid growing up, and then give him things that I didn't have. You know, um, help him with different avenues of life, and to just be there for him and to give back to him what was given to me. And to have fun doing it. I want everything that comes with it: the late nights, the no sleep. I want it all. I don't want to miss a beat. And I'm excited. I'm ready for him to get here, and we start our life. The three of us as a family. And I can be what my father was to me. A great person. And just be a wonderful all around person. And when he goes out to the real world, hey man, your father was great when we was coming up. That's I want it all.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, congratulations. Thanks so much for your time. I know you're super busy, but this was such a fun interview. And yeah, best of luck with everything in the future.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.